So today is SharePoint and Power Platform. I'm not sure if you guys know about SharePoint and Power Platform, or if you have heard about it, or if you know what it does, but this class is assuming that you're a newbie, you know nothing about SharePoint, Power Platform, you know nothing about Microsoft 365 and everything, and we're just going to be starting from scratch to kind of like get you guys up to speed. We're not going to go too in depth because it's just one class, but the purpose of this class is so that you get a good foundation, you get a good introduction to SharePoint and Power Platform. And after this class, you can take whatever it is that you've learned and do further reading, more learning and practice, either learn with the information you find online, so free information. There's a lot of trainings on YouTube and all of that. And there's also a lot of courses that you can buy online that you can also take. With this foundation, you know what you're going to be researching and what direction to be looking. Yeah, so let's get started. The agenda for today: introduction to Microsoft 365, SharePoint, and Power Platform. You cannot talk about SharePoint without actually speaking about what encompasses it, which is Microsoft 365. So I'm going to give you a brief introduction to that. The role of a SharePoint and Power Platform professional in organization or wherever, and the importance of SharePoint and Power Platform to organizations, and why you should learn SharePoint and Power Platform. And then after that, the first 4 points would be in this slide, and after that we get to the fun part where we're actually going to the system and then build something, which I believe that's gonna be the fun part. So just wait for that. So who am I? My name is Jide. If you don't know me by now you know. I am an information systems professional, and that's digital transformation. Basically, digital transformation basically is moving old systems into new and modern systems. So old system could be the old way of doing things. It doesn't have to be anything technological. So it could be moving from writing your customer name down in a big book to moving it to using Salesforce and documenting that, or it could be from moving a system from using Excel sheets to actually using an actual ERP or CRM system. So digital transformation is continuous. You move from an old way of doing things to a new and modern way of doing things with the aid of technology. And I think me personally, because of my kind of like my knowledge of technology and business, it's really helped me to kind of navigate my career. So let's move on. Well, this is Fajitech Academy, and the reason why I started this academy again is because I believe that technology should be accessible to all. And I think that the gap between the technical and non-technical professionals these days is getting really, really small. And an example is somewhere places I've worked nowadays, I've seen people do stuff like regular people. I'm talking about admin, HR, talking about people that have been like very, very non-technical. Like the role traditionally is very non-technical. And I've seen them do a lot of technical things that I would have referred to in like maybe like 2 to 5 years ago. I would have referred to them as technical stuff. But I've seen people doing technical stuff without the need of IT. People are now taking on this technical tasks and doing it by themselves. It's not like people are getting so smarter or getting so, I mean, if you're not technical, doesn't mean you're not smart. Or it's not like people are starting to learn new things so rapidly. It's just that there's now like the advent of so many tools like AI tools, low code and no code tools that helps people learn these technical skills so fast that they don't have to actually go through the whole rigorous process of what a traditional software engineer needs to learn before he becomes what he is, or what a traditional IT needs to learn. They skip a lot of order, and they can now do like simple IT tasks, simple technical tasks by themselves. And that's just the beginning of the development of these tools. Eventually, we're all going to be technical. And you being an IT guy would not be enough again to land you a job, because everyone will be IT guys, because you understand what I'm saying. So I think it's important to embrace learning how to use technology and not just thinking about it as something that should be learned, but something that should be left alone to just professionals in that field or technical people, because again, like I said, we're all going to be technical at the end of the day. So that's the point of this academy, is just to give people access to these technical skills like data analysis. Like I said in the last class, data analysis isn't just for data analysts, it's for everyone. Everyone should be able to analyze data in your personal life, in your daily life, in your organization, even in your church, in your finances. You should be able to like collect data and analyze it. So yeah, so I think we get the point. So moving on, what is Microsoft 365? Microsoft 365 is a comprehensive suite, like the description says, of cloud-based productivity tools. All these tools are productivity tools that organizations use. Microsoft Word is the digital version of you obviously writing on a piece of paper and pen. Some of these tools or the concept of these tools emanated from people doing things in a very archaic and like physical way. And then people started to develop digital tools to replace those archaic ways. And that's still part of the digital transformation that we're talking about. Microsoft 365 is a very big ecosystem. SharePoint, Power Platform, which is Power Automate, Power BI, and some other Power Agents, and some other Power Platform apps. Power Platform also is another smaller ecosystem within the Microsoft 365 ecosystem. But these apps are just apps. They're apps just like Microsoft Word and other ones that you know. It's just some of them are more complex than others, and they are used for different things. And the reason why I'm kind of like a fanboy. Personally, I'm a fanboy of Microsoft 365 is because I kind of see the vision. I see the vision with what they are building, and I see the vision with some of the robust tools that they keep implementing or launching and how they connect with each other. And I see that if you tap into that ecosystem, I see how we can benefit you, because learning one tool gives you access to many other tools, and they're kind of interrelated. They are related because you can use one tool and connect to another tool and learn another tool and also use all of that to form one solid solution. I'll show you more of that as we go along. But yeah, I like how whenever they launch a new application, it still fits within that ecosystem and it helps people that have been using some other tools do their task more efficiently and better. And it's not just like they don't just launch stuff that is just outside of that ecosystem, that's not integratable in any way. So yeah, what's SharePoint? Okay, so SharePoint basically is SharePoint itself is kind of like a web page. That's what users see anyways. So think about a website that is only accessible within an organization. So think about that's what it's called. So what you know traditionally when you go to Google, CNN, when you go to all these other websites in like KG, Twitter, Instagram, these are websites or apps. That's what you call the internet. Yeah, it's the internet. The internet is just stuff on different computers connected to each other. So content on servers, computer connected to each other makes it the internet because it's public. When you talk about SharePoint, this is also a website that's private. Private in the sense that you can only access it if you're given access to it within an organization. And what do they call it instead of internet? It's called an intranet. So intranet and internet. And when you then give access to people outside your organization and invite them in as a guest, you will say you have set up an extranet. Don't let that confuse you. So there's internet, which is what we all know. There's intranet, and then there's extranet. Intranet is the one that is used within an organization that doesn't have any access to anybody outside the organization, or people outside the organization don't have access to it. And then there's the extranet that you now invite people. Doesn't mean anyone can still go in there and access it. It's just that you've now specifically chosen a certain group of people that are not in your organization, but you want to share certain contents with them and then invite them into that. Then you've created an extranet. SharePoint enables, so it's not just a web page, like you can see on the right. This is an example of a SharePoint page. You can see from here, it says this is for a school. It's called Pineview School. You can see there's links there and everything here. You as someone from outside, you cannot access this page. You won't be able to access this page. Only people, either students or maybe employees of this Pineview School would be able to see this page. And some of these links are links within the organization that people use. So think about, oh, okay, I've just joined the company. I'm sure this has happened to many people. They've joined an organization, and on their first day, they are dependent on their manager showing them everything that they need to know, right? When you join them, the manager introduces you to the team, says, okay, when you want to raise claims, when you want to speak to IT, or when you want to log an IT ticket, when you want to do this is where you go to. When you need to do this is where you go to. You are dependent on one person to tell you everything that you need to know, which doesn't actually make sense, because there's a limit to how much information can be shared by one person. One, the person might forget to tell you something. Two, they might just not be willing to share any information. And three, it's kind of too much information that one person, they cannot share all of that information with you, because they've got other jobs. They've got their own job duty, their own BAU tasks to do. So think about a system where when you join an organization, you just go to a website that's only visible to you because you've joined the organization. And then you see this search bar here. You can search whatever question that you've got. So, okay, I want to request a new mouse from IT. I search it in this search bar, and then a page comes up and tells you exactly what to do to get your mouse from IT without you speaking to your manager or speaking to anybody. So that's a knowledge base. If they've built it in their intranet, which is SharePoint. SharePoint can do that. Or, okay, I want to do a presentation. I don't know what template my company organization uses. Do I need to speak to my manager to give me the PowerPoint template so I can use it for my presentation? No, I go to my SharePoint, my organization SharePoint. I search here and say PowerPoint presentation template, and it brings it up. So are you guys starting to see some of the use cases, like why organizations start to use SharePoint? You can see links here. They've put accessibility, campus map, clubs. So imagine the student now has joined the school. They don't know what clubs are available. They can now click here and see all the clubs. Within that page, they can register to those clubs. There's a lot of other stuff. So SharePoint is basically that hub that gives you access to a whole lot. Think about it in another way. Think about SharePoint as a big office building, right? So think about SharePoint as a big office building. The big office building is got filing cabinets. Filing cabinets in SharePoint. So, okay, yeah. So let's just take it one step at a time. So the big office building has got a filing cabinet. It's also got bulletin boards, which is where obviously notifications are posted. So, this person's birthday is today, or we're having our meeting next week, all hands on deck, blah blah blah. Or someone's getting promoted. That's the bulletin board. That's where everything goes. Then within that same building, there's also meeting rooms, right? If a team wants to meet, they go into the meeting room. There's the reception desk, right, in that building. Now we're talking about a physical building. There's locked cabinets. So there's filing cabinets, right? And there's locked cabinets, which is very important, because there's filing cabinets where these filing cabinets could be open to anybody. So within that filing cabinet, there could be just general documents, like maybe like that, like I said, templates, contract templates that anyone can go in there and use, or letter-headed papers and all of that. Then there's locked cabinets. Now, remember, we're still talking about physical building. Now, there's locked cabinets that might now contain some sensitive data, like the salaries of everyone in the organization. You don't want to put that in the regular filing cabinets where anybody can just go there, pick it up, and do whatever it is. So that's the physical structure of obviously physical office. Now think about that physical office or physical building in a digital way, and that's SharePoint. So filing cabinets would be general document libraries. Document libraries within SharePoint are like folders, exactly like filing cabinets. Bulletin boards is like also announcements, notifications on SharePoint. Meeting rooms with Teams, just like we're doing now. We're meeting, and it's digital, it's not physical. SharePoint can be connected to Teams to give you that meeting room feel. Receptionist desk could be where the landing page of the organization, because when you have to get to the reception before you get into the office. Locked cabinets would then be restricted document libraries within SharePoint. In a physical office, someone needs to manage all of these things, right? Someone needs to manage the filing cabinets, manage the meeting room, make sure the meeting room is clean, ready for people to use, and all of that. So the same way people need to manage physical office, someone needs to manage SharePoint. And that's what takes us to what is the role of a SharePoint professional? Imagine SharePoint as a digital hub for teamwork, which is what I've said. We need someone to, so within SharePoint, there are different documents. Organizations use it to store a lot of their documentation. With the growing rate of data nowadays, this is important to protect your data. Imagine a real estate company with an Excel sheet with all of their clientele, the customer names, email, address, phone number, and they've got that in an Excel sheet. How sensitive is that information? That's basically the company's, call it intellectual property. If a company loses an information as vital as that, then imagine what it would do to the company if it falls into the hands of a competitor, for instance. Or imagine a company losing something, or maybe like a Coke, something, losing their secret formula if they have one to Pepsi. Think about what it would do to them, or KFC, or wherever. So all of these things are written down. Some of them, maybe not all, some of them are stored in, like I heard Coke or KFC. I think the secret formula is not written down. I don't know. But anyways, like, think about those information written down. They need to be stored somewhere, and that place needs to be secure. That's the role of a SharePoint professional. You need to make sure that information access is being accessed by only people that should be accessing that information. You need to think about creating collaboration spaces like this one that we're using now to obviously host this meeting. Managing permissions, like I said, improving workflows within the organization. Let's think about use cases. We've talked about SharePoint and the use cases. SharePoint can be used as an intranet and for communication. Like I said, you can create corporate intranet portals for SharePoint news and updates. Like I said before, so imagine there's a new announcement. Instead of posting it on the board where only people physically in the office can see it, you can paste it on SharePoint, and everyone, the organization, no matter where they are, whether they are working from home or working remotely or wherever they're working from, they can see those announcements. You can use SharePoint for that because it's the page where people land on and then they see what they need to see. You can use it as a document management system and for collaboration, meaning people can drop their documents in there, and once their documents are in there, multiple people can collaborate on those documents. So there's something called co-authoring on SharePoint, whereby multiple people can work on one document at the same time. And also there's something called versioning, whereby you can track the changes that has been made on every document from when it was created to where it is currently, and you can see all of the changes that has been made, and you can see who has made those changes. And that's very important for compliance and record management. Because think about it. So imagine there's a policy that has been published and it was changed, and you don't know which made that change or who approved that change. So that's the importance of using SharePoint. You can use it for business process automation. So there's quite a few uses as a CRM system, depending on what you want to do. So SharePoint is really robust. There's so many things you can use it for. And in this class, we're going to actually talk about a use case. So we think about you as someone that knows how to use SharePoint and a Power Platform, and they give you like a requirement and tell you to build something. And we're going to actually build it in this class. And I'll show you how easy it is to actually create a simple app, simple but functional app. So we've talked about SharePoint. Then let's talk about Power Platform. Power Platform, like I said, is Power Apps, Power Automate, Power BI, Virtual Agent, there's Power Pages. There's so many apps on that Power Platform that's grouped as Power Platform, but we're just going to be focusing on Power Apps and Power Automate. I'm sure a lot of people also have heard about Power BI. Power BI is used for dashboards and visualization of data. So it's a tool that data analysts use a lot. Power App, like the name says, is used to make applications. But instead of actually having to code and do a lot of whatever that software engineers do, you can actually build these apps with low or no code at all, just by dragging and dropping buttons and clicking. Imagine you can build an app just by dragging buttons and clicking stuff. And that's the kind of flexibility and that Power App gives to you. Also, Power Automate is kind of like also another way to build complex workflows, either complex or non-complex workflows, without also coding, which you would have needed maybe Python or wherever to build before. But now there's Power Automate because you can now drag and drop flows workflows and build it. And what are workflows? So think about you. What are workflows? Workflows are just series of events that need to happen in a specific order. So think about the workflow of your day-to-day, now. The workflow of your day-to-day, like personal life, is that, the night before you slept, right? For your day to start, what's the first thing that needs to happen? Who can tell me what the first thing that needs to happen for your day to start?
Wake up, grateful, I'm grateful.
Wake up and grateful.
Up and grateful, then brush your teeth, have your bath, have breakfast, step up.
Yeah, exactly.
You
So
hit the street.
exactly. So think about your life being managed by Power Automate, right? Because that's basically kind of a system similar to Power Automate is what basically drives us. Because what wakes you up? Are you the one that wakes yourself up? Something wakes you up, which is kind of like an automation. Think about human beings as an automated being. So what starts your day is you wake up. What's that? That's the trigger. So every automation needs to be triggered by something. What starts your day is you wake up. Once you wake up, you open your waking up comes you open on. Okay, maybe you can wake up without opening your eyes actually. So you wake up, you open your eyes, right? Or unless you want to go about your day, your eyes closed. So you wake up, you open your eyes, you stand up from your bed. That's the third step. I'm just very high level. You wake up, you open your eyes, you stand up from your bed. If you have water next to you, maybe drink water, you brush your teeth, you have your bath, you dress up, you prepare for work, you eat, you get breakfast, you get into your car, you drive to work, start working, just from work, you come back home, right? You get dinner, you watch TV, you whatever, go hang out with the boys, then go back to bed. Wake up again. What's that? That's an automation. So that's a workflow basically. So if someone says, okay, build your own human being and make him do all of these things, so you have to draft those steps one by one, right? You say wake up. So the trigger in this case would be wake up, and then you put all those other extra steps. And once you know that, okay, I only want this person to do all of these things when he wakes up, which is not even possible for him to do without waking up. So that's a workflow. So think about that in terms of business operations. So business operations example is maybe a company that sells t-shirts or an e-commerce system, wherever they sell, an e-commerce platform. So they sell products. Customers make an order on their website. When the order comes in, someone goes in there to review the order. Says, okay, the person places the order, sends it to the production team. The production team produces the order. Once they are done producing the order, they send it to inventory or wherever. They pack the order. They get the customer details. They put the details of the customer on the order. Then they send it to the customer. That's the process. With Power Automate, you can kind of automate some of these processes. That's excluding the parts where people have to actually like make the products. Power Automate is not going to make the products for you. Like if you are producing t-shirts, Power Automate is not going to produce the t-shirts for you. But what happens after, you can do some of that with Power Automate. So think about the combination of Power Automate and Power App and what you can do with it. So what's the importance of Power? I want to round up this, not round up the slide so we can actually start to see something and see the system. What's the importance of Power Automate and SharePoint? In today's data, like I said, data is so important. So people are collecting data more rapidly than ever. Before, there was the concept of big data was inexistent. Like no one even knew what big data was because how much data were people even collecting then? But now, we don't even know how far it's going anymore. There's so much data being collected. People are analyzing data rapidly and continuously. So it is important to make sure that that data doesn't just get into the wrong hands again. Important to properly manage that information. As businesses are moving to the cloud, and with cloud, SharePoint is a cloud-based tool. I mean, SharePoint Online, there were previous version of SharePoint that were not cloud-based, but SharePoint Online is a cloud-based tool, and businesses are moving to SharePoint, are moving to cloud, so they need cloud-based tools to manage their documents. There's so many reasons why businesses need SharePoint and Power Platform. But again, like I said, back to my point where the gap between technical and non-technical is actually breaching. Think about where you're working now. You're most likely using SharePoint there, even if you don't know. Or you are using Microsoft 365, you might not know. And think about some of those repetitive tasks that you are doing. Even though your task is you're not in the IT department or anyway, maybe you're even in warehouse. You're processing, you are just a warehouse person, you're processing inventory within the warehouse, or you're a buyer, or you are an HR person just recruiting people. You've got Excel sheets that you're sharing with different departments that you have to update. So think about repetitive tasks like that, like, oh, like we said, like every day you have to wake up, brush your teeth, all those things. Imagine you can get something to do it for you. So think about repetitive tasks you're doing in your organization that you can automate. And then because you've learned this skill now, you don't like wait for IT. You just, because your organization is already using Microsoft 365, and for Microsoft 365 license, Microsoft gives you access to Power Automate and Power App. That's the sweet thing about it. They give you access to these tools. And so if you're using Microsoft 365 emails, that's an indicator that your organization is using Microsoft 365. And if you check your apps, I'll show you, you should see Power Automate or Power App, unless your IT department has disabled it for you. But I'm sure if you ask them to enable it for you, it doesn't come at an extra cost. They will do that for you. And with that, you can then start to automate some tasks. And if you're someone that wants to stand out in your organization or feels you need to do something that other people are not doing or do things better, with these tools, you can do that. And if you see that, if you now realize it's something you enjoy doing, you can then go fully into it and become a SharePoint Power Platform professional. But before then, you can start to use it in your own daily life. You can help your church again. You can help your mosque. You can help your small business. You can help your friend's small business automate some tasks. Some things that you see that they are doing, that they are spending some time on every day. You can use machine to do it for you. Another reason why you should learn SharePoint Power Platform is a high demand skill. You've got a competitive salary, average salary of like 50K. That's in the UK for a SharePoint professional. And that's the UK. 50K in the UK is basically, you're talking about like 90K, 100K in the US. So that would be the average of a normal SharePoint professional. When you start becoming consultant level, example, company I used to work, we had a SharePoint consultant that was charging 950 or 850 or 950 per day. Think about that. This person was on a 1-year contract that was extended to 2 years. So they were working also 8 hours every day, like the rest of us. So think about, this person was earning about 800 to 900 per day, every day for 2 years. Do the maths of that. And that's a SharePoint consultant. So think about how much you can make with all of this, because this skill is something that many people don't have. It's quite scarce. It's starting to become popular nowadays, I admit, but people that are tapping in early, obviously they have an edge. This is someone, I've covered his face. I found him on, was it Upwork or something, when I was just doing research. He's living in Nigeria. He charges $50 per hour for SharePoint and Power Platform stuff. And look at how much he's earned so far. So imagine $100,000 in the pocket of someone that is living in Nigeria. Why? Just because he's got this skill. This is not fugazi. If you search his name on Upwork, you will find it. Upwork is not going to put this money here if he has not earned it. What is he doing with to earn this money? It's literally listed here. SharePoint Power Platform. So if you think what I'm saying is cap, or I'm just chatting, and do your own research. SharePoint Power Platform gives you that low, and like I said, you don't have to be a developer, you don't have to be a coder. You can basically cut through most of the things that traditional software engineers learn how to learn and start to build very, very sweet and usable apps. Okay. So now another reason, let's talk about numbers now. Let's not just talk about Microsoft as a company commands 47.9. That is almost half of the market share in the world. These are the competitors: Google Workspace, Office, OpenOffice, Libre. There are so many competitors. Now think about Microsoft controls half, and the rest are sharing the remaining 50%. Over 60% of the Fortune 500 companies use Microsoft 365. Of that 500, of the Fortune 500 companies, 95% of them rely on Azure cloud services. I don't know if these numbers are doing anything in your head, but it should tell you, okay, now this is just 2022. This report was from 2022. We're in 2024. Think about the numbers now. In 2022, look at what SharePoint's Microsoft 365 revenue grew into, to almost about I don't even know between 50 and 75 billion. 2028, look at how it's been growing from 2028 to under 50 billion to over almost 70 billion. Look at the number of users from below 200 million to over 300 million from 2028 to 2018 to 2022. So you can see the growth, and this is 2022. So you know that when you when you choose to go into something, you see, it's just like when you want to join an organization, you don't want to join an organization that is reducing staff yearly. So maybe in 2019 they had 100 staff and they grew to 80 in 2020. In 2021 they reduced their staff to 50. If they want to employ you and you see that kind of information, is that something that's going to prepare you to join the organization? No, because you feel like they are not moving forward. There's an organization that is advancing, that is growing, should be growing in numbers too, because they should be having more stuff to do, hereby requiring more hands, right? So it's just like that's when you think about joining an organization, you think about that. So when you think about learning a technology or going into a technology stack, these are the numbers that you should be looking at. Like, what's the adoption rate? Like, how is this ecosystem actually growing? What are people using it for? Like, knowing that 50% of the world of companies use 50% of organizations use almost 50% of organizations use Microsoft 365 compared to their counterparts. I don't think there's any other information you need to know to decide what stack to go for. Yeah, so that's all we have for the slides, and we're about to get practical now. Okay, so can you guys see this scenario? This is what we're going to be building today. So you are a business analyst working for a mid-sized company that wants to improve its employee onboarding process. The company currently handles onboarding tasks manually through emails, paper forms, and in-person meetings, which leads to delay. Sorry, the company currently handles onboarding tasks manually through emails, paper forms, and in-person meetings, which leads to delay, miscommunication, and sometimes lost paperwork. They want to automate this process to make it more efficient, transparent, trackable. What do you see here? You see a company that needs digital transformation because they use paper forms. They send back emails back and forth, and it's not efficient. It takes time. So they want to automate this process. You, as someone you don't have to be a business analyst. If you are solution minded, you know how to spot problems. And these are people that get paid the most money in the world. That's one thing. You know how to spot problems and create solutions to it. There are two types. You either spot the problem, create the solution, and give it to them, or you sell it to them. People will always 100% pay you for a solution to their problem. And that's all you need to do to become a rich person. Find problems and give them the solution. Even though some people in the world create the problems themselves so they can give it a solution. That's another topic for it. But yeah, but people that are rich, there's a pattern to it. They solve problems. And when you start thinking about that, thinking about putting your mind in that framing your mind in that way where you can spot problems and prepare solutions, then you're good to go. So this is a problem, obviously. The onboarding process is not good. It's manual. It takes time. And we, as a SharePoint person or someone with no knowledge of SharePoint Power Platform, we want to basically save them time, create a more effective system for them. So what's the requirement? So objective, let's move on to objectives first. Create a digital employee onboarding solution using SharePoint, Power Automate, and Power App. The solution will streamline the onboarding process, ensure all required tasks are completed on time, and provide real-time status updates to HR department managers. So we'll come back to this. I want to show you guys the platform first before we start to do this. Okay, so this is Microsoft 365. How do you get to Microsoft 365? So let's start from the beginning. The easiest way to get to Microsoft 365, if you've got access to it, is portal.office.com. Because I'm signed in already, it's not going to ask me for login, right? Or if you were not signed in, you would have had to put in your Microsoft 365 email and password. The organization you work for will either be using this or some of those competitors that we saw, like Google Workspace and all those other ones. But if in your organization you've ever seen anything like this before, you are definitely using Microsoft 365 and you can make a difference. Just check here, click this button, check if you see Power Automate or Power App. And if you don't see it, ask your IT for it because it doesn't cost them extra. It already comes with the license. If you personally want to pay for Microsoft 365 on your own, either because you want to practice or you have a business that you want to create emails for. That's another thing. You can create company emails using Microsoft 365. Let's go to Microsoft 365 pricing. You can pay for it yourself. Pricing. Okay. So you see there's this one, 79, so 80 pounds per year or £8 per month. So imagine paying £8 per month and you have all of this. So you have access to Microsoft Word, you have access to Excel, PowerPoint, and what's this logo? Even of this. Let me see. Does it tell me? Oh, Microsoft Defender. Yeah, that's antivirus. Okay. You get, imagine just £8 per month, you get antivirus, Excel, Word, Excel, PowerPoint, antivirus, OneDrive, Automate, Outlook. What's this one? Microsoft Editor. I've never used it before. See, there's so many Microsoft apps. Clipchamp, OneNote, and many more. This is not even everything. You still get, even with this, you have access to Power Automate. You have access to many others. So you can either, I'm not buying, thank you. You can either pay for this for yourself, either to practice, like I said, either to practice, or your organization already has given you access to this, and you get access to. So that's how you log in anyways. Portal.office.com. I'm going to type that in the chat for anyone that wants to visit on their own computer. Portal.office.com. And then you can log in or create an account. So this is the platform. This is where you land when you log in. If we go to apps and we click more apps, takes us to the page where we find all the apps that we have on the system. This is a demo environment, so some things on here might be slow, so bear with us. So we are on all apps right now, so you can see all the apps. We've got booking. This booking is how you basically can think of Calendly. You can create like booking page. So just imagine, just with £8 a month, all these tools that people are selling separately in different places. Calendly is there selling Calendly. There's booking on Microsoft still for the same. Google Forms is there telling you to pay Google Form Premium and all of that. You have Forms here, Microsoft Forms. You have Excel. You have Learning. See, you have List. You have so many apps. And why? Why do you get all these apps? Just because you are paying £8 or £8 per month, which is a very, very fair deal if you ask me. There's Whiteboard. So let's just show them. This is one of my best and simple apps. Whiteboard basically allows you, just like it says Whiteboard, when you're in a meeting, you can, if you have a tablet, you can easily just come here and start to illustrate to your audience. Why is it not writing? But okay. You can come here and start to illustrate to your audience, blah, 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 blah. And then for all those things that you think they are easier illustrated than just spoken, you can do that. And everyone can see. You can even share this whiteboard with other people and people can collaborate. So multiple people can be drawing on the same page and everyone will be seeing it at the same time. So collaboration tools, those are just small apps. So you guys know about Excel, there's OneDrive, it also comes with the license, there's PowerPoint. So this is what we are looking for. Where's Power Automate? So you see Power Automate, you see Power App, you see Planner. Let me show you another cool tool. Planner is also a cool tool. See, with Planner, you can basically manage projects. So let's create a plan and let's use a template, new plan. I'm kind of deviating, but I just want to show you guys what you can do with Microsoft 365 and all the apps within it. So imagine this is a project. I've created a new plan. So imagine we're starting a project and we need to track every stage of the project. So now, anytime we finish something, so imagine there's a new task, like let's say build front end page, and I add task and I assign that to myself. You can assign it to anybody, and then I say add task. So this is a task. Right now is under the initiating bucket. Once I start to plan this build front page, all I have to do is just drag it. See, I drag it to planning, right? Once I'm done planning and I start to execute, I drag it here. Once I'm done executing, I drag it to monitoring. And once I finish, I drag it to closing. What does that give me? With this, automatically, you get the grid of everything. Think about Gantt chart. You get the charts of all the tasks that are left and everything that blah, blah, blah. You get the schedule of all the tasks that are due and when they should be, when blah, blah, blah. So depending on what you input, in your board. So basically all of these plans, and these are things that just comes directly with the, so think about the what you can do with this system. So let's focus on what we're here for. Yeah, so I'm just showing you guys around the system. This is my profile. This is OneDrive. I go here, I see my content. I see if I go, okay, we've explored the apps. So another thing that you need to know is admin center. I don't want to go into that now because it's quite deep and it's going to take a lot of our time. But I'm just going to show you. So as an admin in your organization, you would have access to this page. Without being an admin, you won't see this admin center as part of your apps. Admin center is basically where you manage the users in your organization. This is where if someone gets sacked, this is where you come to disable their account. If someone gets employed, this is where you come to create their accounts. This is where you come to reset password and all of that you want to do. There's also different admin centers. This is the Microsoft 365 admin center. There's the SharePoint admin center. There's Teams admin center. There's Exchange admin center. There's Identity, which is kind of like Active Directory, a similar version of this one. There's Compliance admin center. There's Security admin center. Again, I don't want to go into all of this, but think about the back end of managing your Microsoft 365 environment. As an admin, you need to know all of this, but we're not going to be focusing on that because what we want to just do is SharePoint and Power Platform. So this is SharePoint Admin Center. As a regular user, you wouldn't be able to create a new SharePoint page, a new SharePoint site, unless they allow you to create sub-sites on existing sites, and you need to have permissions on that site to create it. But to create a new site collection, only the SharePoint admin or global admin is able to do that. So today we are going to be creating sites. And how did I get here? Remember, I went to outofoffice.com. I went to apps. I searched for admin, right? I clicked on admin. Then I went to show all. I looked for SharePoint Admin Center. Then I clicked on SharePoint Admin Center. It brought me to SharePoint Admin Center. And now you can see from here, you can see the difference between this one and this one is this is Microsoft 365 Admin Center. This is what SharePoint Admin Center. So you need to know what admin center you are in and what you want to manage. So we've got active sites. So you can see you can create multiple sites. So this is a platform that we've used in the past. So you can see we have real nice suites and good looking sites that we've created. But today we want to create a new site for that company. Let me bring that up again. We want to create a new site for that company. So you see, you guys give me a name that I can name this company, so I can create a new site for them. So this company wants to improve their onboarding process. You guys give me a name. Yeah?
Looking Good Ventures.
Okay, that's good. That's good. Any other names? Are you guys happy with that? Any other name? Okay, I think let's just go with that since it was the one first. Okay, so let's start. Let's give them a site. 1 second. Okay, so Looking Good Ventures. So again, you know what? Let's do this. We need to be able to, I want us to see this side by side, kind of. Can you guys still see my screen clearly? Can you see the details on the screen clearly?
Yes, you can.
Okay, cool. So again, we're working for this mid-sized company. We've said the name of the company is called Looking Good Ventures, right? And what do we want to do? We want to improve their onboarding process. The requirements to do that is that we need to create, okay, before we do that, actually, so we're actually building a solution, call it an app. So the reason why I added this picture here was to show you like a very high level overview of the architecture of an app. So for every app, there's the front end and there's the back end, right? Who can tell me the difference between the front end and the back end of an app? Someone that hasn't spoken before. Okay, is that?
So the front end
Oh, sorry, who is speaking?
Jeremiah.
Okay, front end. Okay, Richard. I think Jeremiah before now.
Yeah.
Let Richard go. I don't think I've heard his own voice.
Okay, the front end of, let's say, a site is the interface that is seen by the client or the users, while the back end is the interface that's managed by let's say, the programmers and all. What happens back end that makes the front end work? Is that correct?
Yes, yeah. You're correct. Okay, correct. Is there any other person that's got another way to kind of spin it? Okay. Charles has said front end is the part the user interacts with, while back end is the logic part of the app. Good. Any other person? One more person. Okay, Jeremiah, you can go if you want.
Yeah, basically, the front end is the user interface, and the back end is the developers end that powers the front end.
Okay, cool. Okay, let's do this. Nice one, Jeremiah. That's good. Let's do this. I'm going to give you a word, or I'll give you something, and you tell me where it sits, whether front end or back end. So database, where does it sit, front end or back end?
Back end.
Who said back end?
Richard.
Okay, can you explain why database is back end?
Well, I feel you don't access the database. Of course, you can access the platform that links the database, maybe like SQL or something. But you don't really see what is in it, like back end. That's where the data is stored. That's where everything is. And personally, that's what I feel.
Yeah, cool. Yeah, that you're very correct. So backend database sits in the backend. So to build an app, you need the front end and you need the back end. Like you guys have said, which is very correct. The front end is the part that the user interacts with, and the back end is where it's kind of like the engine room. So think about it like the engine room, where the actual the activities is actually happening. So in the front end, a user might get like a web form that says submit your details, right? That web form will be styled with colors and nice things, nice graphics and visualization that helps the user to use it. So that's what you call UI and UX. So the user sees the form and says, okay, input your name, email, blah, 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 blah. Once they put their name and email and everything, all the information you want to collect, they click submit. Once they click that submit, something happens in the backend. It collects, so something happens in the backend where that information that they put in on the front end gets submitted into a database in the backend. And the user doesn't actually see that backend. They only see the form that they've submitted. And if for any reason they need to pull information from that database, so maybe the user wants to see, okay, so maybe the next day, the user is not sure whether they put the correct phone number or not when they were submitting the form. So they want to retrieve their information and cross-check the phone number. Will they go directly to the backend to check it?
No.
Exactly. How will the user access the backend?
Maybe through the developer or something. Or if they have a link of editing what's in database, they could edit, then update.
Yeah, I'm looking for a keyword. How does the user access the backend? There's a keyword I'm looking for. Anybody? The answer is on your screen. Let me give you a hint. The answer is on the screen. How does the user access the backend?
Front end.
Who said that?
Falabi.
Exactly. Correct. Thanks. Exactly. The user can access the backend through the front end if it's configured to do that anyways. So think about it. When you go to Instagram and then you want to edit your bio and you click the bio, Instagram remember the bio that you put in the time when you created your Instagram account. Where does it store that information? Because even if you log into your Instagram on another phone, you will still get the same pictures and the same bio and everything. Anywhere you log into Instagram, it always pulls up the same information, bio, everything. So how do you access, and everything is stored in a database, right? How do you access that database to edit the information that you have submitted before? It's from the same app, the same front end. So when the user wants to access the backend, they go from the front end and they access the backend. So that's what I was looking for. So for an app like this in our scenario, we also need front end and back end. And SharePoint is flexible in a way where you can use SharePoint as both front end and back end within the same SharePoint. And in this scenario, SharePoint backend can be accessed directly. So in this scenario, the backend can be accessed almost directly by the user unless it's blocked. So that's what we're going to do. We are not going to allow users access the backend directly. That's why we're going to build a SharePoint list, and then we'll build a Power App, which will serve as the front end, and the users can then access it. So we want to build this small scenario. So the first thing is Looking Good Ventures, right? We've navigated to SharePoint. So we want to first build a site for this Looking Good Ventures site company. So all we need to do is just create this, and we create, so there are two different types of sites. There's the team site and there's the communication site, right? A team site, the difference between a team site and communication site is that a team site is used for collaboration, like the name says, say, track and stay updated with project status. You can, multiple teams or the same team can collaborate within a team site and they can work together collectively. But in a communication site, it's kind of like a one-way thing where one group or person, either one person or a group of people, are sharing information to a wide audience. So think about a news site. So, okay, we're announcing stuff to a wide audience. We don't necessarily want to communicate or collaborate. Sorry, we don't necessarily want to collaborate with our wide audience. We just want to tell them or announce stuff to them. Then you need a communication site. But when you want to bring a group of people together to work together, to collaborate, share documents between each other, work on those documents, then you'll be thinking about a team site. So for this case, where it is an onboarding process, from what we've described here, what do you guys think we need to create? A team site or communication site?
A team site.
Who is that?
Olabi.
Why do you think it's a team site?
Because you're bringing all stakeholders together. Because I saw that in the requirements, you have to bring in the HR approval, all that. There's so many roles, a lot of people have to play there.
Cool. Nice. Is there any other person that wants to answer? Any other ideas? Team site or communication site, and why? Some people have just been quiet. There are no wrong answers. So just speak. You're learning, so we're not expecting you to know everything. I'll call names though. Someone is someone that hasn't spoken should speak. Just give me. There's just two options. Give me one of the options and tell me why. Yeah, someone speak. I'll call a name now randomly. Okay. Olive Oladele, speak. Don't run away. Hello. Okay, let's try someone else. Emmanuel Onyemachi. Can you speak? I think we have ghosts in this class, so people are not speaking. Does someone want to volunteer to speak? Olamileko, will you speak? Hello.
What's the question?
Okay, the question is, for our use case, we are building this for this business analyst. This business analyst wants to improve the employee onboarding process, and we are trying to help them to make the process better. But we need to create a site first. And if you read the use case, what type of site do you think we need to create? Is it team sites or communication sites? I've said for team sites is where people collaborate. Different people can collaborate, but communication sites is kind of like a news or blog site where you just announce to a wide audience. So what type of sites do you think we need to create for this use case?
I think team site.
Team site, okay. Why team site? Sorry, I can't hear you. I think the line is breaking. Hello?
Hello?
Yeah, I can hear you now. What did you say?
Can you hear me?
Yeah.
I think team site, because like you explained, team site is for collaboration. So for the employees in the company looking good ventures, they can collaborate using team site. But if they want to use some community site, that's just probably to publish like a news that, okay, we are introducing a new product, this is how it's going to look, and this is how it's going to be used, those kind of things. So for this purpose, you use the team site.
Okay, nice. I think Olamileko, is that you with your hand raised? You want to say something? Okay? Yeah, carry on.
Yeah, so it should probably be a communication site since
Okay.
it's for onboarding. So it would most likely feature, news and happenings for the organization. And if it's onboarding, it's definitely more around, what has existed, what's the latest, what was the recent, things like that.
Okay, nice. Thank you. So I have anyways, you're all right, to be fair. So everyone is right. It can either be a team site or a communication site, depending on what you want to use it for. So in this case, we are only building the site to use it as a database. The front end would be a Power App. But if you want to build this, like Olamileko said, if you are going to build a site that new people that need to be onboarded would have to go to and view information that has been published by the HR team, then you need to go with communication sites. But if you are going to build a site that is going to house documentation, or people are going to have to upload documents, maybe through the employee onboarding process, people have to upload documents and do some other stuff, which is kind of like the scenario here. Most likely the scenario, we need to go with team site. So you need to weigh your options, like what exactly will this site be used for in particular. The scenario doesn't really explain what the site will be actually used for. It just tells you what to do. But when you are building it in the real world, you need to think about it, like what exactly will the site do. So in this scenario, we're going to choose team site just because we're envisaging that, or we're thinking that, okay, in the future, they might need to collaborate on some documents, which is what's most likely going to happen. So we're going to go with team site. So we're going to click on team site for Looking Good Ventures, and we'll use one of these beautiful templates like this one. So, okay, so imagine there's a template for onboarding. So we click that, we use this template and say the name of our site, our companies. So this is how easy it is to build a site, by the way. We just type in Looking Good Ventures, site name. This is a company that helps you look good. Okay, let's call it HR team Looking Good Venture, because you can't just, because this site is specifically for the HR team. Usually the entire tenant this way would have been for Looking Good Ventures. Then within the entire tenant, you can now start creating sites for different teams. But because of this purpose of this class, we're just going to create a site for the HR team inside the Looking Good Ventures company. So this is the group email. This is our site address, and I'm going to make myself the group owner. So meaning the owner of the site. And I click on next. Ask me, do I want to make the site private? Of course, I want to make it private. Private and public. Public doesn't mean if people from outside our organization type in the address, they're going to see it. No, not going to see anything. Public is public. Anyone in the organization can access the site. No matter how public it is still an intranet. That's what you need to remember. So it's still going to only be accessed by people within the organization. And private means even if you are in the organization, if I haven't given you access to the sites, you wouldn't have access to the sites. So let's keep it public. Let's keep it private. Use US Canada time, or let's use UK time. UTC, blah blah blah. Let's start UK. Let's just use, I think we're in West Africa, using the same time as Central Africa. So let's use this one. Cool. And then we create sites, add members. You can add members later. We wait for the sites to get created. And seeing applying templates. Once the site is created, we'll go to the site and we see what our new site looks like. So that's the first step. We still need to create the database of the site, right? Of the app that we're trying to build to automate our onboarding process. And then we need to create the front end of the site, of the app, that we're trying to use. So right now we're still building the SharePoint site because we want to take advantage of SharePoint. Okay, it's finished. If we sort this by the date created, where's date created? Okay, yeah. Sort this by date created, new auto order. We will see the site that we've just created, which is this one. We view sites, click on view sites. And so this is our HR team onboarding site. You can see it has given you like a template, and all you have to do is to just replace it with your own information. So like this video, you can change it. You can add your own video here. You can edit all of this, and I'm going to show you how to edit this page. So right now, all you need to do is come here, say edit, just like you do. So easy. You don't have to write any code. It's basically drag and drop, like I said. So with this page, all you have to do is come here, edit your onboarding journey. Just click on this and say, this is your on journey. Check it out. I'm just typing nonsense, but you get the point. So it's fully customizable. You can edit this picture, replace it with something else. You can scroll down, you can even add there's something called web parts. So the components that make up this page are called web parts. So you can add new web parts. So you can bring in a video from YouTube to your site and say YouTube, click on that, add video. To ask you for the link that you can get from YouTube. So let's go to YouTube and get one video, get link for more video. I just want to show you guys how easy it is to build a page on SharePoint. Let's see. What video can we?
Can you get video from social media apps?
Yeah, sure, you can. You just need to get the link. Let's name Peppa Pig. That's the first thing I saw. Yeah. So what we need to do here is just click the video, and
I'll
Let's
call
skip.
him.
Let's make sure that this is gone. Skip this. Then come here. Where do we go to get that? We need to get the embed. Yeah, exactly. This is what we need. So we copy. Is this what we? Let's see. This is what we need. 1 second. Where's that our page? Just okay. Yeah. So we just put this here and we save and look. And if we republish, we save this page. I republish this. Can you guys see the paper that appeared on our page? And we can even
Yes, we've
do
seen
you
it.
guys see? Yeah. So
Yes.
that's how
Yeah,
you see
we
what
can
we're
see.
doing. With these are things that would have required so much code in the past. You would have had to write some HTML, blah 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 blah, JavaScript. You see, you're taking code from YouTube, you're putting it in SharePoint, you're adding stuff, you're adding more web parts, you can add timer, like so many other things. Let me show you one more. Nice. This woman is easy to remove. Just basically as easy as a Word document. See? Just delete. She's gone.
All right.
You see that? You click on this, you can add so many stuff. You can see there's document libraries, there's countdown timer. So let's add this one. Let's see.
Did you right click, GD?
No, I just clicked on plus, this plus
plus,
sign. Yeah. So you see, once you click on one of the web parts, it gives you this option on top where you can edit properties, you can drag it from where you want, you can drag it from one location to another. Like I said, it's drag and drop. You can duplicate, you can delete, you can edit the. So imagine even this Peppa Pig now, you can choose that you don't want it to start from the beginning. You can see I want it to start from 238. See, show you now. Okay, 1 to 38. And anytime people play the video, it will always start from that place. So you see. So there are so many things. I don't want us to stay on that for too long. But let me play this. It start from there. See, it didn't start from the beginning. It started from. So there are so many things you can do with this. What else? Yeah. So, anyways, I know Peppa Pig has nothing to do with employee onboarding unless you are working for. I don't even know what company you need to watch this video for to start with them. But yeah. So let's move on to what we are trying to build. So back to our case, our use case. Do you have a question?
Yes, just a question. Can you import from like your camera roll, something like that?
Yeah, you can add images from your computer. You can add anything. It's just drag and drop, edit, just like you do on a document.
All right.
You're writing no code. You're just dragging and dropping and adding and doing whatever it is that you want to do. So what we need is to build a SharePoint list. And a SharePoint list, so there's under SharePoint, there are document libraries. I'll show you what the document library is. So let's edit this first and remove some of it. Okay. So this are even good. So under SharePoint, inside SharePoint, there's document library. There's something called document library. This is a document library. A document library is basically like a folder, like you can see it. And this is a symbol of a document library. They stack books. It looks like a book that are stacked together. Inside a document library, you can house documents. So you can create a Word document, and this is a new document, and you can, so it saves automatically. Let's see if it has saved. Okay, that's saved. I can close this. I close this, and when I come back here, if I refresh, I see that document inside there. You can also drag documents from your computer inside this document library. The good thing about this document library, when you give other members, so right now I'm the only member here. If I add new people to this, so let me add people. Let me see. Let me add Gilbert and let me add Yemi. So these are people, in case you are thinking I'm typing random names. No, I'm typing people that are part of my organization. So if I add them, it means that those two people can now see these documents that I've added to. Only them can see these documents I've added to this site, right? So the entire organization, so I can now drop documents, either sensitive or the ones that are not sensitive inside here. And I'm sure that only people that should have access to it have access to it. And that's how it is. So I can go to meet the team. So this is a document library. Remember, there's document library. So a SharePoint site within a SharePoint site, there can be a document library for housing documents. It can be pages. So this is a page. A page is basically, like it says, just to show information. So this has come from our templates. We can also edit it the way we edited our home page. So there's home page. You can create other pages apart from home page. So they basically created a meet the team page. You can also edit this page and add your own pictures, change the write-up, add maybe the CEO, the VCO. So think about this again. For any small, it doesn't have to be too large. Think about your small organization that you are working with or that you attend. You can create a page for them internally like this, where people that are part of the organization can easily find people and see what is happening in the organization. So you can create page. So we've talked about document library, we've talked about pages, and now let's look at lists. So pages are what pages are. So these are lists. So think about lists as, and think about Excel sheets. Excel sheets, there are columns, right? And there are rows. So that is what a list is. An Excel sheet itself can even be used as a database because it's got the structure of a database. That's what lists are. So a list has got what columns and got rows. So you can add new item here and say, okay, I want to add new item. I click on the new item. I say, what's the work? Engineer. I need to fill up all these things. This is a description. Complete by first day. Enter the date, put a random date. Mentor, I choose somebody. I choose myself as a mentor. Relevant URL, google.com. And then I save. Okay. Alternative, invalid URL. Let's save now. Don't know why that's not working. Let's put HTTPS. Oh, that's what I was waiting for. Anyways, so imagine, so we've created a row. We've created an entry. So just like an Excel sheet, you can even do it this way where you can even edit it directly inside and say designer, blah, 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 choose this one. Just like you do in an Excel sheet, this one, choose the date, and do whatever it is that you want to do. So, right, do you guys see the relationship between SharePoint list and Excel sheets?
Yes.
And in a SharePoint list, when you've now generated a full list of items or of rows, you can then now filter those. You can filter those items by whatever criteria you set. So I can say I want to filter this by only people that have completed it on their first day, and say apply. So only show you the first day. You can clear the item. If you use Excel, well, if you use Excel at all, you should know. I don't need to explain too much about this. So think about this as an Excel sheet. So do you guys see the difference between a document library and a SharePoint document library and a SharePoint list? Because that's an important concept to know. You guys see it?
Yes.
Any questions so far about the difference between a SharePoint list and an Excel sheet? Sorry, a SharePoint list and a SharePoint document library.
Just one question. It's not relating to the list or the library. It's just I want to find out if you see this on the left side of your page where you have home, onboarding, training.
Yeah.
Yes. So is it because of that template we chose? That's why it's like that,
yes.
Or that's standard? Okay.
It's because of
edit
it we choose.
Okay.
Yes, you can edit it. So you can edit it and add more links if you want. So all you need to do is just click this edit. See, I can delete some. Let me delete this one. I can delete this one, remove. I can drag this one to come up here. I can even add more if I want. And then if I save, you see everything that I've done, it will change. So you see, so I've edited the. So this is basically the navigation. If you can navigate to home where we were before, where we added our paper pig. We can go to our document library where we added that document, and this is the list. Okay, everyone understands that concept so far, right?
For me, yeah.
Yeah, cool. Please don't forget, ask questions if you have any. Please don't skip anything in your mind. Okay, so now, to help these people, we now want to build the app. So the first thing we want to do is we want to build the backend. The backend, the database that's going to take the information about this employee. And from this Power Automate flow, we will see what we need the process that we need to automate. So when an employee information is submitted, we want to send an approval email to the HR manager. So we want the HR manager to either approve this employee to join the organization or reject this employee. If the HR manager approves the employee to join the organization, we want the database to change automatically to approved, right? And then once the HR manager approves the employee, we need to send an email to the IT department to say, okay, the HR manager has approved the employee. You need to start setting up the computer and other IT devices for this person. And if the HR manager rejects the employee, we need to send an email to someone else to notify that, okay, the HR manager has rejected the employee, and this is why they have rejected the employee. Do you guys understand what we're trying to do to that point?
We do.
Yeah. So okay, so good. So the first thing, so what we need to know is that we need to, with this information, like obviously in this scenario, I've kind of broken down what you need to do to achieve what you need to achieve. But in the real world, nobody's going to tell you to go and create a SharePoint list or what to do in the SharePoint, in the Power Automate flow. They're not going to break it down for you. All you get is, oh, right now, the organization, when we want to onboard new people, the new employee fills a form and then we submit it to the HR manager. Then the HR manager either signs it with paper and biro and all of that. And then sometimes the HR manager forgets to approve the employee, and the employee is just at home waiting to start, and it never starts because it has gotten lost for wherever, or the process takes time. So we want you to kind of use our Microsoft 365 to automate and make this process faster for us, please. They're not going to tell you, oh, build a SharePoint list and add all these columns. No, but because I want you guys to get like the concept, and I've just kind of broken it down for what you need to do. So for this task, the first thing we need to do is build a database, and the database, we're going to use SharePoint list. You can either use SQL, like SQL database. You can even use, like I said, you can use Microsoft Excel as your database. But in this scenario, because we want to use SharePoint, we're going to use SharePoint list. So we're going to create a new list like this one says. We're going to create a new list and call it employee onboarding. So we'll come here to our SharePoint site. We'll click on this new. You see document library page. Obviously, we don't want to create any of this. We want to create a list. We're going to click on list. Again, it doesn't load this slowly normally when we are on the live environment. This is a demo environment. That's why it's quite slow. We're going to create a blank list because we want to create our own columns by ourselves. So we'll call this employee onboarding. That's the name of the list. Oh wait, the list already exists. Let's call it new employee onboarding. Okay. This will be the employee database for app. We'll show this inside navigation. So yeah, so we've created this, right? Now, what do we see? We see title only. What do we need to add? We need to add, it says we need to add, let's skip this. We need to add employee name. We need to collect the employee name. We need to collect the position of the employee. We need to collect the department. We need to collect start date, onboarding status, approval status, and a lot more. So we need to start. So the first thing we need to collect is the employee name. So we change this column title. We want to change this to employee name. We'll rename it. All I did was I clicked on it, sorry. I clicked on it, and then I went to column setting. I went to rename. I named this to employee name, right? Save that and column. So we need to add another column. We'll call it position, right? We'll make it a choice type. So we can add new columns, just like we can add columns on Excel. The only difference between this one and Excel is that we're going to actually have to choose the type of data that we are expecting in that column. So when we click on add new column, it's going to ask us, what type of data are you expecting? From here, you can see that we're expecting the position, and we want it to be a choice thing where someone needs to choose what type of employee. So it will be like kind of like a drop down. So we choose choice, and then we click on next, and we name this position. And then, like you can see from here, position, then we say developer, designer, analyst. We use those three. So position, we change this to developer, design, analyst. Cool. We can add more if we want, but we're just going to leave it this way. And then we want to make this required. So you must always type in the name of must always type in the position of this. So we come here, we make it required. So required that this column contain information. Yes. So we've added position. We'll add department. Let's quickly go through this. Department, the same thing, choice, HR, IT. So go again with choice, come here, department. Do you guys understand why we're doing all of this?
Yeah.
Yes.
There's a question, yeah?
Yeah, exactly.
I have a question. So just based on this scenario right now and the type of data we're entering, or we're expecting to get, is there a way as well that we can connect this data to like maybe an SQL database, for example?
Yeah, sure. You can even build this database on SQL directly and then connect it to Power Automate or Power App instead of creating it on SharePoint. And then you can connect SharePoint, collect the information from SQL, put it on SharePoint, on a SharePoint list, or even take information from SharePoint list and translate it to SQL, both ways. So depending on what you want to use for your database. Does that answer your question? Okay, so I'm developing the columns for this. So start date, let's choose date. So this one is not going to be a choice, it will be a type of date and time. So and just say start date, save. Onboarding status. Onboarding status will also be a choice, not started, in progress, completed. So this one will be choice. I'm going to be faster now. So running out of time. Onboarding status or in status. This one not started. Not started, in progress, and completed. Okay, and we save this HR approval status. Okay, HR approval status. Click that, also choice. HR approval status, pending, approve, rejected, pending, approve, rejected, pending, approve, rejected. And then we save, and then manager. Let's keep this manager approval status, and then let's go to assign to. So this one will be person, because we need to choose a person that we need to assign it to. So click on this person type, not choice, not date and time, not text or multiple line of text. We need to use person, which will be able, so that we'll be able to populate that an actual person. So this one we'll use assigned to. And then all of this we need to change them to make sure that they are required. Let's change the other ones too. So HR, let's change this one to column edit. Make sure that they all require information. Save. I'll tell you guys why we need to make sure that they all require information. You guys will see why I'm doing this. And me setting that they all require information basically means that people cannot leave it blank. They have to put something in there. That's the setting. That's what that setting is for. So it's just like your form where you're filling form online. Like there are some places that they will leave optional, and there are some places that you have to fill in. So now we've created a database. Let's test this database with an entry. Let's start with a name. Let me choose one name from here. The first person I see on my screen is Akibanjo. I'm going to choose Akibanjo. His position will make him a developer. Department will make him IT. Start date, we say he's supposed to start in September 16. Onboarding status, not started, obviously. HR pending. Assign it to myself. And then we save. So you see, does this look like a database of an employee or not?
Yeah.
Exactly. So we just created a database now. And now how I've imputed Akibanjo is that I've basically entered the information manually from the database itself. But that's not what I want users to be doing. I want to give them an app where they submit the information of the new employee, and then all that, remember all this process that we said that we want to automate, where once they submit, an approval automatically gets sent to the HR manager, and the HR manager needs to approve that process. And then when the HR manager approves or rejects, depending on what they choose to do, there are different actions that will happen. If they approve, IT gets a message saying set up the computer for this person. If they don't approve, that's if they reject, another department or somebody gets an email and says, okay, this person has been rejected. Maybe updates the person's right to work or updating information. Otherwise, we cannot accept this person. So all those kind of things. So we built the database, which is the backend, the first step. The second step is we want to build the workflow, still part of the backend, but still focus on the backend. We want to build the workflow that powers the system. So what are we going to use to create this automation that helps us to kind of streamline that? What app do you guys think we need to do? We've used SharePoint to create the database. We've used SharePoint list. How do you create the automation? Anybody?
On the Power Platform.
Yeah, but what particular app on the Power Platform?
The Power Automate.
Exactly, Automate. So you're right. So now we're going to move on. So so what have we done so far? We've created an entire site for Looking Good Ventures. We've edited the home page, done a little bit of editing. We've created a new SharePoint list, and we've added that list to our site, and we've used that list we're trying to use that list as a database, and now we want to build the automation that powers our app. So the first thing we need to do is click on this 9 dots menu, and then we choose Power Automate. So these are different apps that we are going to connect to each other to achieve our goal. So now we have moved from SharePoint to Power Automate because we want to do the automation. The first thing we need to do is to create. We go to create, and there are different types of Power Automate flow. Remember when I talked about your personal automation or how you go about your day, and we talked about we needing a trigger for something for our series of events to go on. So something needs to start before we start to do all of the brush our teeth and go outside, have your bath and other stuff. So the trigger needs to happen. So even for Power Automate flow, you need to define what the trigger is. So for automated cloud flow, you see, so there's different types of flow. There's automated cloud flow, which is triggered by a designated event. So, and a designated event is something like when a new employee name gets submitted, do all of this. Instant cloud flow is triggered manually as needed, meaning this doesn't watch for or wait for something to happen. Someone needs to actually click it or trigger it manually. So there are some flows that you need for stuff like that. So there might be flows where you need someone to actually go and trigger it manually. And there's scheduled cloud flow, which it doesn't wait for an event to happen. It doesn't wait for someone to trigger it. It happens, you schedule it to happen. Either it happens at a particular time, no matter what. So you can say every Monday by 8 a.m., do this. So that's where you need scheduled cloud flow. And then there's these 3 other cloud flows that are not so popular, but people use them. So we're going to, for this case, what do you guys think we need to use? Is it automated cloud flow or instant cloud flow? I gave the answer to this just now.
Should be automated.
Okay, cool. Any other person? Anyone else? Anyone? You guys have gone quiet again. Give me something. One more person. Is it automated cloud flow or instant cloud flow? Yeah.
I missed a little because I had the call. But I knew when you got to this automate place and you created. Okay. So I don't know if you can just recap a little.
Okay. I'll do that. So I said there are different types of flows, and a flow needs to be triggered by something, right? It can either be triggered by an event, or it can be triggered by someone triggering it manually by clicking a button or basically like clicking the button to say, okay, trigger or start. Or it can be triggered by a schedule. So you can schedule it to be triggered and say, okay, every Monday by 8 or 9 a.m., do this task. So those are 3 major ways that a flow can start. So either when something happens, or when someone clicks a button, or at a particular time. So for our case where we want the flow to trigger when an employee's name is submitted, what type of flow do you think we need to use? Okay, one just said instant. Who else? Who wants to try?
Automated cloud flow.
Okay, why did you say automated cloud flow?
Yeah, because when the new employee is submitted, so it comes with the position and department and stuff. So I guess so with the automated cloud flow, for each, maybe for department, for example, the next line of action will follow automated.
Okay, cool. Nice one. So yeah, actually you can use any of the 3 to start the flow, to build your flow. But the best one for this scenario is automated cloud flow, because now the flow would only start when a new employee is submitted, because it's triggered by a designated event. So we can say anytime any new employee is submitted to our database, starts the flow. With an instant cloud flow, it will work, but it's not ideal because someone needs to always go and be checking if there's been a new employee added manually, and then the person will now say start automation for this employee, which is kind of counterintuitive and it's not going to work. Or you can say schedule cloud flow and say, okay, run this flow on all the new employees every Monday, which also works, but it's not ideal, because imagine an employee was submitted on Tuesday. It means that their process will not start until the next Monday. You understand? So you should, for this case, we need to treat it on a ad hoc level, because anytime a new employee is submitted, we want this process to start for each individual employee, if you guys are getting me. So that's kind of how it goes. So we're going to go with automated cloud flow, and then we're going to name this employee HR initiation and approval. Like this says, we'll name this HR initiation and approval. And then what do we need here? So because we are using a SharePoint list as our database, we're going to say, it's asking us, we've given the name, choose the flows trigger. We're going to choose a trigger, and the trigger should be what? What do you guys think should be the trigger from what you can see on the screen.
When the response is submitted.
Okay. Who was that? Sorry, who just spoke now? Oh, okay. Olamilekan, cool. Very close, but almost. Who else wants to try? Someone else? You guys to talk. I know you guys are not shy, so especially with your camera off. I don't know why you're still shy. But yeah,
it's created.
That's Afolabi, yeah?
Yes.
Exactly. When an item is created, exactly. So the difference between what Afolabi said and what Olamilekan said is, you can see this one says when a new response is submitted, which is right, but the only thing is that this is reading from Microsoft Forms, and this one is reading from SharePoint. Our database is not on Microsoft Forms. Our database is on SharePoint. So that's why we're using this one instead of this one. That's the only difference. Do you get that, Olamilekan?
Yes.
So we're going to use when an item is created, and then we create this. So it means this is our trigger, right? Let's move this. So when an item is created on SharePoint, the first thing we want to do is we want to tell it what SharePoint list to be looking at. So we've created our site, but Power Automate doesn't know, because it cannot read our mind. It doesn't know what sites that we want to automate any process for. So we click on this card, and then it will give us a drop down of list of sites. We will look for our looking good sites. Can't find it here. We search for it. Looking good. Where is it? It's not showing. Looking good.
Because you're not saved.
I've saved it. It should show. So let's get the URL of the site directly, and you should find that. So I think it's because it's a new site. That's why. So we come here and then we type in the URL of the site. See, it has found the site. So anytime if you're looking for a site and you can't find it, you just type the URL, take the URL of the site. So the URL of the site is usually, it stops at everything after the site. That's the main site. Everything after this site. So you see, there's sharepoint.com, everything here, .sharepoint.com. So if you are working for Toyota, it will be toyota.sharepoint.com. If you are working for NHS, it will be nhs.sharepoint.com. If you're working for Guinness, it will be guinness.sharepoint.com. Then you see site/sites, then /looking good. So /site/ the name of the site. So that's what you need to copy. So everything after /site/ the name of the site, you copy that, you paste that in Power Automate to automatically find the site. And you click on, so it will ask you what list, because now this our site has got 2 lists. You can only use SharePoint list as a database. You can't use document library. Document library is not a database. I mean, it's its own type of database, but not the type of database we need for the app. So we need to choose new employee onboarding. That's the one we created, right? That's the one that has all the columns that we need. We click that. So anytime when a new item is created on new employee onboarding, so that's the trigger. So we've created the trigger, right? So now all we have is the trigger. But what happens? And so when a new item is created, so what should we do? This is where we now start to define the processes that should happen after the trigger. So how do we define the processes? Then we start to use this plus sign. So you see, it says the trigger, when a new item is created, send an approval to HR manager with employee details. Okay, so the first step is when a new item is created, we need to send an approval to our manager. So we click on action. Power Automate gives you a list of actions that you can use. But what we need now is the approval action, because that's what we need to send information to the person that we need them to approve. So we come here, we say approval. Say we don't want to just create an approval. We want to start and wait for approval, because the difference between create an approval and start and wait for approval is that if you say create approval, it will just send the approval email to the person that needs to approve, but the other process will keep on going. But that's not what we want. We don't want any other thing to happen. We want the process to be stuck in that place until someone approves or rejects that employee. So we want to start and wait for an approval. And then approval type, we want it to be approve or reject, first to respond. The difference between this approve or reject, first to respond, or everyone must approve is that the difference is that you can select multiple people to I don't know what's wrong with my tongue. You can select multiple people to approve something, whatever it is that you want to approve. And the difference between these two is that you can either do first to respond, meaning even if you select 5 people to approve something, As long as one person approves, then it counts as approved. And if you select everyone must approve, it means that even if one person out of that 5 people approve, it wouldn't go forward. All 5 people must approve something for it to go ahead. So if 4 people approve and the last person hasn't approved, nothing will happen. It will be waiting for that fifth approval. So depending, in this case, we just want to do first to respond. So just one person, anyone that approves is fine. So we need to create the title for the approval. So let's create this as a new employee has been submitted for your approval. So this here is the email. We're composing the email that the person that needs to approve is going to get. And this assigned to will be the HR manager. So remember this place. If you guys remember this place where is that our list? So remember this place. Don't forget to bring me back if you get confused at any point. So okay. So remember when we chose assigned to, this is the person that needs to approve. So this will be the HR manager. This is the person that needs to approve Akibanjo. Right now, Akibanjo HR approval is pending. So it cannot join the company yet. The IT cannot start making or preparing their equipment yet because HR manager has not approved them. And HR manager in this case is JFAJ. So we want it to be anytime a new employee is submitted, an email needs to go to whoever has been indicated as the HR manager, right? It needs to go to whoever has been indicated as the HR manager, and that HR manager needs to approve. So this is where the concept of dynamic content comes in. So what we're going to do here, we can either make it a static thing or use the information that is provided in our submission. In this case, let's make it a static thing. So I'll put myself in the HR manager. Let's put this person in. Let's put myself in as HR manager just for the purpose of this. And then details. Okay, let's leave all of this for now. And yeah, so we start approval. Once this is approved or rejected, what's the next step? We want to update the HR approval status to approved or rejected based on the HR response. So if approves, we say we change this. So if the HR manager approves this, we need to change this to as I did this in grade view. So we need to change this to approved. If it rejects, we need to change this to rejected. And all this needs to be done automatically. We don't need to come in here and do it ourselves. So what do we need for this? The next step should be conditions. So we add another action and say conditions. This is very high level. Again, you guys take what information you can get from here and then you can start to do further learning. So we create a condition and say everything I've done so far, I've not written any code. I've only just been clicking and dropping and dragging and dropping. So condition, we say if the output, if the output of this, we want to say if the output of this approval step is, so we look for the output. So outcome, if the outcome is equal to approve, if it's true, then update our SharePoint, update item. And the SharePoint item would also be, remember that, where is it? Looking Good Ventures, update the item here, new employee onboarding, update the item here. And the ID should be the ID that was created here. So it should be this ID, and start date should be when item is created, start date. So cool. And then what we need to update is what? HR approval status value, right? We want to change this to, if is approved, change it to approved. If it is rejected, so the condition is if it's approved, we want this update item to change that column, which is this column. We want it to change it to approved. If it is rejected, we want to change it to, so let's copy this and do the same thing, but we'll just change it to, so you see, you can copy action and paste action. You guys see how easy it is. Come here, if it's not approved, we want to reject it, right? So this will be rejected. So right now, so far what we've done, when a new item is created, send an approval message to HR manager, right? If HR manager, if the outcome is approved, update the SharePoint list, the column that says our approval status, change it to approved, because it will start as pending, right? Change it to approved. If it is not approved, change it to rejected, right? Do you guys get it to this point so far?
They do gradually.
Please, sorry, I want to ask a question.
Sure.
Assuming, what we talked about is like if you have a new employee, right? So assuming in a scenario where an employee that is already in the database system, the database is being promoted from, so the name of the person's job title has changed.
Yeah.
What's going to happen? Like how you going to...
Okay, so right now, we're only doing for when a new item is created, not when a new item is modified. So you can create another flow for when an item is modified. So that means an employee that is already in the database, if anything changes to their information, you can now define another set of steps that needs to happen.
Okay.
Yeah, so you might need to build another flow, a separate Power Automate flow. So you can build multiple flows for it. Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah. So right now we've done this. We've done, again, just to summarize for anyone that wasn't following. We want to create a process flow that says when a new employee is created or submitted, we want to send an approval request to the HR manager to say, oh, this is the information of this employee that has been submitted. Do you approve this employee to start with us or not? Then the HR manager inside their email will say, okay, I approve or I reject. Depending on what they choose, if the HR manager, so from here you can see if the outcome of this approval process is equal to approve, we want to update the item, so that employee that has been submitted. So we want to update this part of the record to approved. If the approval process is rejected, we want to update it to rejected. That's what we've done so far. We've not even sent any emails out to anybody yet. So what's the next step? When the update at HR approval status is rejected based on HR response, if approved, update onboarding status to, okay, in progress. Okay, so we also want to update onboarding process. So let's copy this. So not just the HR status value. We also want to, we also want to update the onboarding process, onboarding status. So we want to change this to in progress, because right now when it's submitted, the default one is not started, onboarding process. Can you guys see?
Yes.
It's not started. So if it's approved, we want to change it to in progress, which is what we have done. Okay, what else does it say? If approved, update onboarding process to in progress and notify IT department. So what do we want to do? So I created a team called IT. So let me go to that team. So the team is basically a team in Microsoft Teams. It's called IT. Sign in with another account. Not this one, man. This one. Okay. So what I want to do, instead of sending an email, I want to send a message inside Teams to the IT department. So I'm just letting this one load. You guys are still with me, yeah?
Yeah.
Don't mind the speed of this thing, or it's just, again, we're using the demo account, so we can't complain. We're not paying for it. Don't know why it's not loading now. It's just going round and round in circle. Let me stop that and refresh it. Just want to open team. If that doesn't work, then we use, anyways, while that one is loading. So we want to send an email. Sorry. So if it is approved, we want to send a Teams message to IT. So say Teams, post in team, search team, say Microsoft team, see more. We want to post in a team channel. So where is that post? Post a message in a chat, exactly, or channel. So I want to post a message in a chat or channel, even though this team is not opening. I don't know why. Yeah, something is therefore up. Okay. Anyways, we might just stick to emails then. Let's open email. Let's open our email. So Outlook. Hopefully this one doesn't load for 1 million years too. Okay, cool. So let's think about it. So we are the HR manager, right? But the one that I'm the HR manager. I've put myself in as the HR manager, and I'm expecting the emails to come to me when a new employee is submitted. And that email should ask me if I want to approve or reject this employee. And when I approve, it should send a chat to IT. I don't think Teams wants to load up. Let's use another email for IT instead of Teams. So let me open another person's email. Who was that person's email that I got that time? A second. So let's use this person. I'm going to open their own email box now. I'm going to copy their username. Okay, so this is their username. I'm going to copy that. I want to open their own email box. So open another mailbox. I need to close this team that is loading, slowing down my computer. Okay, cool. So let's assume that this person, so we are in another person's mailbox right now. Let's assume that this person, Miriam G is their IT. So let's delete this. If this is approved, we need to send an email to Miriam as the IT person. So we'll say email, send an email send it to this person, Miriam, and say new employee has joined, is about to join. Prepare their IT device. Let's copy the same thing, put it here. So do you guys understand so far up to this point? So if approved, update the item and send an email to IT. And if rejected, update the item as rejected. What else did they say? If approved, if rejected, update the onboarding status as not started. Okay, and also update the onboarding status as not started. Yeah, onboarding status here should be not started. And then send an email to, who should we send an email to? Yeah, let's send an email to, let's choose another user. Or let's just send another email to the same person. Usually, obviously, it's not going to be the same person that is going to be IT and also the person to fix the employee onboarding problem. But just for this case, let's use that. So send an email. Let me send the email to myself as the HR manager. So send an email to Jide and say, employee has been rejected. Please correct information and resubmit. Okay, good. Everyone understands this so far up to this point?
Yeah.
Afolabi, what did you say? Did you say yes or no?
Oh, I say yes. Yes.
Oh, okay. So this is basically, we finished this Power Automate flow, even though we can make it better, and I'll show you how we can make it better, but let's save it for now. And then we've built the front end. We've built the front end. And how do we test this that it works? We can come here and then we say test manually. We come back here. Before we move to building the front, sorry, we built the backend we built the backend and the flow, and we want to test the backend that it works. So how do we test it? Is that we test it manually. We click on test like I did from the Power Automate side. I click test and I say manual test. I click on test. It will tell me to perform the action, that's perform the trigger. And that means that go and submit a new employee so that I do what I need to do. So I come here, I click on this, and then I submit a new employee. This is just to test. People are not going to be creating employees like this. We're going to still build the front end where they have to create the employee. So I'll say employee is, let me choose the next person, Charles. Employee is Charles. His position is designer. Let's choose another position. Analyst. Let's choose IT too. Let's choose start date as this. Onboarding status, obviously, pending, assign it to myself again. And then once I save this, I've saved Charles' name. This obviously should trigger our flow because that's what we said. So we're going to wait now and see if it picks it up. Because we're using a demo environment, it doesn't take so long for Power Automate to pick up the changes in SharePoint. But because we're using a demo environment, it will take a little bit more time because they've throttled everything that we do on here. So I have to give it some time. Do you guys understand what I've just done, what I just did now? Anybody?
Yep.
Okay, cool. So we're just testing our flow to see if it does what we said it should do. So we're waiting for Power Automate to realize that we have submitted a new list item. That's a new employee, and for it to do what it needs to do. It's taking a while, which again, exactly. So it shouldn't take that long, but it's taking quite a long time because we're using a demo environment. So it has identified that, can you see, it has identified that a new item has been created. It has sent an approval. It is right now, it's waiting for us to approve or reject. So it has sent it to me. If I check my email and I wait, I should get that email very soon. Again, this is also going to be slow because demo environment. So don't expect it to be this slow in your actual environment. I'm just going to keep refreshing until I see that email. So that email should come to me pretty soon. Okay, cool. Did you guys see the email? It just dropped. So yeah, so exactly what we put. A new employee has been submitted for your approval. So this is what the HR manager is going to get in their email. So think about the HR manager. They are just going to get this, oh, this employee has been submitted. Do you want to approve or reject the employee? And all the HR manager needs to do, right from inside their email, they don't even need to go anywhere else. They just click on approve. And whatever comments that they have, they can add it. If not, they just leave it there. And if I click submit, voila, the flow is going to move along. You see how it has. See what happened? Do you guys see? So it says approved. Because it was approved, it did what we told it to do with approval. So let's see. You see, right now it's showing pending, and this is Charles. But the flow is supposed to what? Update these two, right? Is it not?
Yeah.
If we refresh, let's see if that worked. Okay. Well, that didn't work. Why did it not work? Oh wait. Oh yeah. You see, it changed it. So you see, it changed from not started to in progress and approved. Do you guys understand what just happened? What we've just built now with just the click of buttons and dragging stuff?
Yeah, and it recorded the time in which each of the actions took.
Exactly. And now, so what did we say? We said you should send an email to IT, right? To set up the account, set up the computer. What's this? A new employee is about to join. Prepare the IT device. Did I have to do anything manually apart from submit the employee and the HR manager needing to approve the person? No. That's a simple Power Automate flow. Now think of the possibilities. Any questions up to this point? Before I show you guys another cool thing quickly, because we're going to round up in the next 10 minutes. Any questions up to this point? No. Okay. So right now you can see we built a simple flow, and okay, let's build the front end quickly. So let's build the front end quickly. So right now what we need now is Power App. So we built SharePoint site, we built SharePoint list, we built Power Automate flow. Now we need an app that users can use to submit their new employees. So we go to what? Power App. I'm showing you guys all this to see how easy it is to build these things, like things that people have to build and scratch their head and write codes and do all of that. Now we're building simple things, simple automation stuff easily with this tool. Next one is, so this is Power App. How did I navigate to Power App? I clicked on the nine dots menu and I chose Power App, and it came to this page, just like with the same way we got to SharePoint, the same way we got to Power Automate. Now we're in Power App to build the front end, the app. Remember, build back end, we build database with SharePoint list, we build Power Automate to automate the process, and then with front end, we're going to use Power App. So you see, because we've got a database, we're going to start with data with Power App. We click on start with data, right? Then we come here and we choose create with SharePoint list, because that's what we're using. We click that. It will ask us again, choose the SharePoint list that you want to connect to. We're just going to wait for this to load, and then we choose the SharePoint list that we need. So let's search for looking good. Okay, cool. And then we choose new employee onboarding. And with this, it does a marvelous job by creating the database schema for us automatically. So you see, oh wait, this is not actually. So this one creates, I remember. So this one creates, SharePoint. So all we need to do, we want to still keep using our, keep using our SharePoint list. Okay, let's use this one. Let's see if that works. Starts with, we don't want to use this one. So select external data. This is what we want to use. So that there's a difference. The first one, we'll use our SharePoint list and create another database, so that means we'll have two databases, but that's not what we want. We want to keep using the same SharePoint list as our database. So we go to Looking Good Ventures and we click on New Employee Onboarding. That's the list. And voila, with just that information, it will create our app for us and it will look like magic. Just watch and see. It will just see the columns that we've selected in our database, and it will automatically predict what type of app we're trying to create. So easy and simple. Just wait for it to load and you'll be wowed. Can you guys see? What does this look like to you? Does it look like an app? Let's play it and see. Does this look like an app? Like an app? How about now? Let's choose a tablet. Apple iPad 2020. Does this look like an app to you now? See, from this app now, let's choose let's use our normal laptop screen, Windows size. So from this app now, you can select what is now. Remember, this is our database. Don't forget our database. So now we have, let's move this here because this stuff is getting in the way. So remember, we have this database, and see how this app is easily connecting to our SharePoint database to the point where I can edit Charles' name from this database, from this app, and it will edit in our SharePoint database. Let me show you. So you see, this position was analyst here. I want to change it to developer, and I click yes. Let's see what happens in our app. Charles is analyst, right? Let's refresh. Do you guys see what just happened?
Yes.
Can you see how we've connected the front end to the back end?
Yeah.
And can you see how we can add in a new employee? And does this not look like an app to you? So let's use Chinelo as this our new employee. Okay, let me just put your first name, and let's choose position as designer and start date as, and then department as HR, the onboarding not started, pending, assigned to me, you see, and then we click yes, and you see it has listed on the side. And if we come to our database and we refresh, you see we have hello. And guess what happens after too? Our Power Automate flow also runs because we've connected it. So if we refresh this, you see that our Power Automate flow is going to start very soon. And I'll get all those emails. You know, remember those emails I sent before?
Yeah.
You see, it has started by itself. So if we see, so it has started for Chinelo. And if we go to that email that we were looking at before, okay, well, we should be expecting a new email now. We should be expecting a new email anytime from now. Yeah, you see? And then if I approve this and submit, it does exactly the same thing. See? Straight. I've gotten another email, new employee, just like that. Do you guys get it up to this point?
Yes.
So does it look, is this looking interesting to you guys?
Yes.
Exactly.
Yes.
Exactly. So now what we've done basically, we have put, so now when this approval comes, this HR manager doesn't even know who this approval is for. Like all they see is, oh, this person needs to be approved or rejected. They don't even know the name of the person. How can we customize this? Which is the last thing we're going to be doing today. How can we customize this to show the name of the employee in the email that is getting sent out and their title? We can do this with the use of dynamic content. So if we edit our flow and make some small changes and say, okay, this is where we want to make the changes. So in the approval process, in the details, we want to add, so here in the title, we'll say the name of the employee. Let's go to the name. So dynamic, this is how we choose dynamic content. So dynamic content basically means instead of using static information, we can use information that has been submitted for the email. So we click on this. I need to close this. Okay, so I choose title, which is the name of the employee. Employee named. The reason why this is title is because title is the original name of this column. Remember, we changed it from title to employee name, if you guys remember. So an employee named dynamic has been submitted for your approval. And in here, we want to put employee name, department, put position. So position, employee name, position. So we can add more information if we want, but let's just leave this here. So we'll say title, position should be position value, and name, link to item. You can now add the link to the actual item. So we'll say, so that if the HR person wants to see the item itself, they can go there. And we save this. I'll show you guys now how it will look like. So this, we've made it dynamic, and the email that is getting sent, we want to also use the name of the person. So we come here, so also add, okay, I hope I used the right one. So it should be when an item is created. Let me change this. Let me check this one, make sure that I've used the right one. It should be when an item is created, title. This one too should be when an item is created, the title. The position value of this one should be, yeah, okay, cool. So this one should be here when an item is created. So the name of the person is about to join. Please prepare that to fit their position, which is as a, let's put the position of the person. When an item is created, let's put position, yeah, position value, yeah. So now what we're doing is we're moving from using static, we're moving from choosing static information to using dynamic information that is gotten from the inputs that the user has given to us. So that's the difference now. And this is the last thing we're going to do. And we're going to save and test it. So from our app again, let's go back. Let's wait for it to save. And from our app again, we go and submit a new employee. So new employee, go to plus, let's use someone else. Let's use Jeremiah this time. Jeremiah, I don't know how to spell your name. Jeremiah, which position should I give you? Should I developer, designer, or analyst? Analyst. Who? Department, IT, start date. Let's give you one start date. Let's start you in 2025, December. We'll send you the contract today so that you wait. So pending this one, and then assign to and then we submit, and we'll see the difference between the emails and that we get from this one and the other ones. So we submitted that. Obviously, the flow should run. If we go back, let's wait for this, refresh and wait for the new run. Because again, these things are so fast on normal environment because this is a demo environment, it takes a while for it to pick up. So let's wait. So we're waiting for this flow to start running. So basically, want it to pick up that we've submitted a new, okay. Jeremiah has been submitted. Power Automate just hasn't found out yet. Power Automate is still sleeping. So wait. Yeah, it might take a while. It's gonna happen. Yeah, that started. Cool. So it has picked up the one for Jeremiah, and then we just need to wait for the email to come in. This is also gonna take some time. But so far, are you guys, while we wait for this, any questions? Just spit out anything that you think. How are you finding? Do you think this skill is something that should only be known by technical people, or do you agree with me that everyone needs to know these things?
Yeah.
To make your work better, your life better. So you see?
I have a question.
Okay, cool. Just after this, let me show you the email. So the first email, imagine the first one was, oh, a new employee has been blah, blah, blah. He didn't tell us what the name of the employee is, right? Can you see this one now? A new employee named Jeremiah. Why? Because it was Jeremiah that we added, has been submitted for your approval. He gave us the name of the employee and gave us the position of the employee. Now, it's left for me as the HR manager to decide if, let me show block content. So it's left for me as the HR manager to decide if I want to approve this new analyst called Jeremiah. I can choose to reject him too. You know what? Let's reject him and see what happens next. Sorry that you're the only one I'm rejecting, but information not complete. Because we've done approve since and we've not done reject. Let's do this one. So, but we're not going to be able to test. Okay, let's approve. We won't be able to test the email, the following email, because we didn't edit the other ones. So let's approve this one and click submit. And you see the email that will come in next will be what Jeremiah is about to join. Prepare the IT device to fit their position, which is an analyst, not the analyst. Do you guys see the difference between the first one and the second one?
Yes.
So we're not using just static information anymore. Now it's now picking information from the actual employee to let the person that we are sending an email to know what they're referring to. So think about that in different ways. Jeremiah, you can go with your question. What do you want to ask? Jerry, you there?
Yeah. So my question, based on what you just said a couple minutes ago about the skills and who needs it. So like my question basically is like overall, being in this role, what are like the questions to ask? Like maybe you have a project now, like what are the requirements that you're going to ask? Is it like questions on how you want to design it, the requirements, the business requirements, like for the workflows, or are those things that you have to like develop on your own or be creative on your own, then bring it back to the team and show them and explain, and they have to like approve, or like, so like what are some of like the questions like to ask, you know, in the meeting, or like, you know, you want to take this project, you know, I mean, you might have a picture in your head like, okay, I'll do this app, I'll do this flow, but I mean, before that, you know, you also want to ask like, what are the business requirements? What are like those key questions? Like, you would just say like, I mean, question is different from every project, obviously, but like, what are the things you would probably like just generalize, like, you know, be like the question that always like you always like ask, like the first questions like you kind of like always ask.
Yeah. So simple answer to your question is, again, you kind of answered it, like every project is different. So it depends on how robust your organization is, or depends on how robust your internal structure is. Some organizations, they have dedicated business analysts. So if it's either you're the business analyst and you're choosing to do this yourself, or you're a business analyst and you've got people that can do this for you, and you just need to do the meeting, gather the requirements, and you're gathering the requirements because you know how the system works. So you know the kind of questions to be asking. Or in your organization, there's no business analyst at all. So you that need to build the system, you also need to wear the cap of a business analyst. So the first thing is requirement for every project. Like for projects like this, first step is planning, requirement gathering. You gather some of the stakeholders. You ask them what the problem. The first question is, what's the problem? How do they do things currently? what are the problems they are having with the way they currently do things. When you work out the problems that they are having, that's when you'll be able to propose a solution. You can't fix something that they were not having problems with. So if they are saying, and it's not really what they are saying, so they might be telling you, oh, they might be using Excel sheet now, and they say, oh, when it gets to a particular volume of quantity of data, the Excel sheet starts to get really slow. Is there a way that you can help us talk to Microsoft to upgrade our Excel license so that Excel doesn't get slow? Like, customers can be funny that way. Like, they know what they want. The point here I'm trying to make is customers know what they want, but they don't necessarily know the best solution for it. So they might prefer solutions to you and say, oh, this is what we want you to do. But you as a professional or someone that knows what you're saying, is now you're the one that will say, okay, I know this is what you're trying to achieve, but instead of upgrading your Excel subscription, which is not going to make your Excel faster, why don't we move this entire process to a different system that is faster and specifically made for stuff like this? So when you understand what their problem is, because people that you're speaking to, many of them don't know about SharePoint list, they don't know about Power Automate, they don't even know what Power Automate can do. So you won't expect them to give you these requirements this way. Say, oh, build a SharePoint list, then build a Power Automate flow. They don't know all these things. All they'll tell you is, oh, we use papers and papers are too slow. Use this. Then you, because of your knowledge, and it comes with time, because of your knowledge of the system, you can now say, oh, okay, I think this will fit into this will fit into this will fit into this. You go back, then when you come up with a solid plan, then you speak to the stakeholders and say, this is what you're planning and this is what you intend to do, and then they sign off on it. Depends. There are so many ways to go about it. So I wouldn't say there's a specific set of questions to ask, but if you want to really, the question you've asked is a business analyst question. So if you want to know like a framework for requirement gathering and doing business analysis, that's like a whole different topic. And yeah, there's a lot of resources online about that, how to do proper business analysis, how to gather requirements, the right questions to be asking. That's on a generic scale. Again, every project will be unique in its own way. So yeah, you guys, does that answer your question? Jeremiah?
Yeah.
Okay, cool. Any other questions before we go?
Yes, please. Is this section, is it recorded?
Yes, it's recorded.
Okay. Okay.
Yeah, it's Q&A session. Any other question? Any other questions before we go? Okay, cool.
One other.
Okay, yeah, no, go on.
Yeah, there was a time that I think it's Afolabi that asked if you can import, like, let's say the database from SQL into SharePoint. If you already built a database in SQL or Excel, do you get?
Yeah.
Also, like how to do that.
Okay, because I can show you how to do that, but I can't do that in this class because we've come to the end of the class. But and then this my demo environment. What we've got Dataverse, which is kind of similar, close to SQL, but there are different ways to do that. You can connect. There are different connectors, but that might be in. So if you're interested again to take this further, two options, like I always say in all my classes. It's either you go with the information you've got, go online, start to search, you know what to search now, you know the terminologies, you know what app does what it is used for, start to do your research. Or if you want to join like a more structured class where I take all of this, you can think about what we've been able to achieve in the past 3 hours now. Think about what we can do in about 2 months span. Think about what we can do in 2 months and every weekend. So we've got boot camp. I've not decided what month that will be, but that's coming up. So if you want to take part in that, and you want to actually go into this deeply, then I'll advise that you do that. Otherwise, you can also learn on your own. Just the same way with our Azure class or our data analysis class. Depending on what you need, we can choose any of that, and then we can take that for you. Take that out with you. Any other question? All right. Great. So thank you guys for staying with me. Appreciate, and do have a great Saturday. Okay. All right. Thanks to everyone. Appreciate. See you when we see. Bye.
Thank you very much.